Thank you all for joining us today for a webinar on the new tools for data-driven advocacy, which will highlight the features we added to the data.ccc New York site. My name is Marija Drobnjak, and my colleague Sofia Halkitis and I will walk you through today's webinar. Sofia and I are members of a 4-people research and data team here at Citizens Committee for Children of New York, and we are the most closely involved with the developments of the database. Today's webinar is going to take around 40 minutes, and in the first 25, we are going to cover a background of our research and online data resources, overview of the new features on data.ccc New York, live demo of the data, and if you have questions during the presentation, please use the chat and Q&A button and share them, and we will address them at the end of the presentation along with the questions that you posed in advance. All participants are going to be muted throughout. If you don't have enough time to address all of the questions within the time we have today, Sophia and I will follow up via email. And you're also more than welcome to email us. Our contact information is at the end of the presentation, and we will type it in a chat box as well. Within a few days, we are going to share a link to the recording of the webinar as well as the slide deck, but I believe that you got that one in advance. With this, I will hand it over to Sophia.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So before we get into the new features, I'm going to give a brief overview of CCC's research and our online data resources. So we produce a number of data resources in print and online that are available to inform the state of children and families, both presently and historically. Since 1993, we've been producing our Keeping Track of New York City's Children data book, a comprehensive desk reference of data about New York City's children and families, who they are, the services they utilize, and what adversities they face. We also produce our Child and Family Wellbeing Report every year, formerly known as the Community Risk Ranking, which compares the 59 community districts based on 18 community-level indicators that influence the way that children grow up and ranks communities relatively to one another. We've also conducted 4 community-based assessments in Brownsville, Brooklyn, Northern Manhattan, St. George, Staten Island, and recently in Elmhurst, Corona, Queens, where we take a deeper dive into the circumstances around child well-being in the community by speaking with community members themselves. And we complement this information collected by focus groups with administrative data analysis. And last, we maintain a large database, data.cccnewyork.org, with data on child, community, and family well-being collected from a variety of sources. This database is an extension of the KT data book, and it's evolved into the dynamic database that it is now. In addition to supporting our work in advocacy, this database really serves as a resource to foundations, many service providers, and community-based organizations to assess the needs and strengths in the communities that they serve. So before we dive into the new features, I'm just going to briefly outline the 4 tools that are available on our online database, data.cccnewyork.org. And we're also going to go through a live demo after we outline the new features. So first, I'll discuss our Rank Communities by Risk and Asset Mapping tools. The Rank Communities by Risk tab is the digital version of our annual print publication, the Child and Family Wellbeing Report. On this tab, users can compare neighborhoods and identify the areas of highest and lowest risk based on an index we create every year. To construct the index, we use 18 indicators of well-being across 6 categories: health, housing, economic security, education, youth, family, and community. The Map Community Resources tool is a tool that allows you to locate community resources, which we refer to as assets, that support neighborhood needs. Assets mapped on our tool include things like food retail, health centers, childcare sites, and observe the absence and abundance of resources across the city. And on this tool, we have a few dozen resources, and they can be viewed in conjunction with risk ranking across all domains. Then I'll also talk about our Explore Data tool. So this is a tool that allows you to explore the data for hundreds of data points and breakdowns at various geographic levels, including the school district, community district, borough, and more. Data can be viewed as a map, a table, or a bar, and this is the richest part of the site and the focus of our main enhancements today. And last, I'll just say it with our Create Location Profiles functionality, allows you to view multiple data points of your choice for one geography or location at a time. And that's a brief overview, but I'm going to hand it over to Maria, who's going to review our site enhancements today.
Thank you, Sophia. I will briefly walk you through how the site has developed over time first. In 2006, Keeping Track Online was debuted in a form of online database, which at the time mirrored the print edition of the Keeping Track of New York City Children data book. The database, in the way you know it today, was launched in 2012 when we developed the heart of it, called Explore Data, which Sophia just discussed. And this part of the site is the focus of the presentation today. The next major development happened in 2017 when we added two additional tools on the site. And in March 2020, we implemented a number of new features to make our tools more easy and intuitive to use for data-driven advocacy. In addition to embarking on these major development projects, we continuously improved the site with support from Velier, a development company based in Boston who custom built a database back in 2012. And now I will move on to the new features on the site. We vastly improved search functionality and navigation, explore data, and design of the page overall. Second, we included zip code and police precinct level data, which is particularly helpful for public data only available by these geographies. And we also created a brand new functionality called Political and Administrative District Overlay, and I will go through each one in order. There are three components of improved search and navigation functionality. We enhanced navigation between the host of indicators with the tools that allow exploration, map, table, and bar chart. We added a keyword search functionality. We improved filtering of the data based on predefined filters. On this slide, you can see a landing page of the Explore data, which primarily got a new look, but also enhanced search and filtering options, which I'll explain in more details shortly. In contrast, here is our old landing page for Explore data. Here, you are able to see a snapshot of enhanced navigation where map, view, as well as table or bar chart are permanently on the screen, while you are searching through different indicators which can be accessed through these domain boxes. Without leaving the map view, you can pick a new indicator. In the previous version of the site, every time you wanted to pick a new indicator, you would have to click on a Change Indicator button and then browse the data from the landing page. A keyword search functionality is a brand new way for users on our site to interact with the data. You can type in any search term and it will work on its own, as well as in combination with any of the filtering options. If I type poverty, I will get indicators that have poverty, either in their names, breakdown, or metadata. If you're familiar with the database, you know that many indicators have different breakdowns nested within, such as child population by age group, by household type, race, or ethnicity. Keyword search is pulling from all of these nested data, as well as from any information under sources and notes. A function of predefined filters is really an improvement from what we used to have on the site. Some of you might know that we used to have option to filter data by location. And now we added the capability to filter data by other demographic indicators, such as age, race, ethnicity, gender. And we also brought that functionality within the tools, so you don't need to exit the map, bar chart, or table view to use these filters. And moving on to the next bigger main enhancement, the majority of the data, as you might know, we host on a database are represented for the whole city, 5 boroughs, and 59 community districts. Several health indicators are represented by UHF districts and many education data by school district. In addition to this, from now on, we will be adding data by police precincts and zip codes. The newest edition of police precincts will allow us to add more indicators that pertain to safety in our communities. New York City is divided into 77 police precincts, and some of the new indicators we have on the site are police misconducts and arrests. Our main driver for bringing in a zip code geography to the site is that from our partners and child-serving professionals, we learned that zip code level representation of the data is very valuable, as it is aligned in a way they plan for programming, service provision, and outreach. There are 263 zip codes in New York City, and around 60 are associated with the individual buildings. We excluded those from our data file. Zip codes may cross state, place, county, census tracts, and other census boundaries. In the light of the current crisis, we use this new geography to pull the data from the Department of Health site on COVID-19 cases by zip code, which we update once a week. We also updated some of our existing demographic indicators to include data which US Census reports by zip code tabulation areas, also known by ZICTAs. And we will focus our effort on bringing in new indicators, bringing in new and transforming existing early care and education indicators and displaying them on a zip code level. And now moving on a third enhancement to the site. It is a brand new feature, Political and Administrative District Overlay. It's really an advocacy tool which allows users to identify 8 different districts, such as City Council, State Assembly, State Senate, and others, relative to their community and to all of the data we have on a site. These district overlays are different than the filter options by geography. These geographies on the right, under filter by, are geographies that we provide data on. And admin boundaries overlay is just showing the boundary without populating data for it. Here you are viewing a child population under 5 by community district. And you see that, for example, community district 5 in Queens, Ridgewood has a large child population and also lies within the City Council District 30. We implemented these boundary overlays on all tools across the site. As you can see on this slide, the same tool is implemented across the risk ranking map and asset mapping tool. And with this, I'll pass it now to Sophia, who will do a live demo of the site. Thank you all.
Okay, hello everybody. So I've briefly described the functionalities of each tool. And I'm also just going to note that there's a brief overview of each tool in the slide deck, which you also have received. But now I'd just like to give a live demo of the site to showcase the new and existing features. So first, this is the landing page of data.cccnewyork.org. And you might notice on the bottom right corner, we have a pop-up window. And I'm going to minimize this window now. But this is a brief poll that we're trying to use to collect feedback on our site and the needs of our users. So just feel free to share your feedback or your data desires. All the questions are optional. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the page. So here we are on the landing page, and we have some information and links to our other publications. Many of you may notice that we have changed the photo, and some of the things are a bit different on this page. And we also have some latest updates from the database. And then I'll just get started at the Explore Data tab. So here I am taken to a page that has all of the different indicators and the domains or buckets that they fall within. So here I'm just going to scroll the length of the page to show the indicators, and you can see that they're nested within different categories here. And if I select an issue area, such as housing, that list of indicators filters to this category alone. So now we only have the indicators that have to do with housing. And we can also see that the search bar has been populated with a pill in the top right. So here, a pill is this little blue circle that appears and changes this list of indicators. So again, whatever's in this pill box will filter this list. So now I'm gonna exit, and you can see that when I exit the pill, I'm again presented with this full list. So additionally, another way that we have allowed users to filter the data on the database is to use this filter box. So here, if you make a selection on the location type, the list of indicators is going to filter to display only those which have data at that geographic level. So most of our indicators are at the community district level, and you can see that we have many indicators here at the community district level. We can also make some selections on demographics to further filter this list. So now this list of indicators is only showing those data points which are at the community district level and have data by age group. So if I wanted to close just one of these criteria, there's multiple ways to do so. If I don't want to have one of the demographics selected, I could simply go back to no selection, or instead of choosing any location type, I can also exit the pill. And as Maria mentioned, one of the new enhancements that we made is that we added data at the zip code and police precinct level. So I just wanted to show here those data that we have and how easy it is to filter just by these geographic levels. And so now I will take the time to demonstrate the search by keyword function. So as you see, I have my full list of indicators. There's no restrictions on my search, no pills on the right side of the search bar. And say that I'm looking for data on births. Perhaps I might type the word itself, births, right? And so now the list of indicators is filtered and several indicators come up. Among them, some of the results include the word birth, such as live births, teen births, preterm births, while others have the message found in metadata. As Maria mentioned earlier, metadata refers to the source information, the source definitions, and the notes on each indicator page. And I will show you where to find the metadata on every page in a moment. But now, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll also type another word, perhaps the word female. And so now I see that there's a lot more results than there was for births. And some of them have this message found in metadata, but they also, many of them say found in breakdown and metadata. And I just wanted to show yet another functionality of this search function is that we can see female found in breakdown means again that there is going to be data at that demographic level. So high school ELA proficiency will be available for females. So just really, last search term to hammer in the functionality of this function, you can even search for a data source. If you were looking for education data, you might type in Department of Education, and you'll see that these different messages found in metadata, and you can click on each indicator to see why those words were cited. So now I'll show you the layout of all of our indicator pages, and I'm just going to select child population to start. So this is the layout of all of the different pages. I see a map, selections to the right of the map, and I can see that this map is populated with data and is shaded by the gradient to the left of the map here. So the colors correspond to the different colors on the map. And then on the right side of the map, we can populate this map with data on different breakdowns, such as age group, race, ethnicity, and household type. And we can also change the location type, the data type, and the year of data that we're looking at. So I'm going to change to community district here. And now I can see that if I hover on the map, I'll get the location name as well as the number that's associated with that community and where that community ranks between 1 and 59 in terms of the number that you're looking at. So this is the map for child population, but I also want to take the chance to show this district overlays that Maria spoke about. So here is the feature to overlay the different district boundaries, and it's allows you to overlay city council district, community boards, and other boundaries on top of the map. So if I wanted to see which parts of the city had the highest number of children, we can view these data at the different geographic levels, but then further, we can see how this corresponds to which city council district, for example, has the most children. And by using the zoom function, I can see the labels much more clearly, right? And so perhaps I wanted to keep exploring the data and get these pink lines and labels off of my map. I can simply hit the clear selection here. And furthermore, if I didn't want this option presented on the map, maybe I wanted to take a screenshot, I can collapse both of these windows as to make the map more visible on the page. So further, I want to show what's on this page. Underneath the map here, there's a trend line with the different values over time. Again, if we hover or click on the map, we see that a different community will come up for which we clicked and a trend line as well. And furthermore, if we scroll beneath even further, this is the metadata right here. We have the source information that's in the data. We have the different definitions and notes. And this is the information that's coming up when it said found in metadata earlier on. Last on this Explore Data page, I just want to show that there are different views of the data. We have the data viewable in a map table and a bar chart, which allows you to more easily compare communities and view the data. And also, we want this data to be shared and utilized, so we have multiple download and share options at the right: tweet, Facebook share, email, print, download the raw data, and download the image on the page. So this is the brief overview of our Explore Data tool and all the different indicator pages. I'm going to go over the other tools very, very briefly. I'll just also highlight that this Create Location Profiles tool allows you to focus on one location type and choose multiple indicators, but I'm not going to go over it specifically today. And now I'll just briefly go through our Rank Communities by Risk tab. So here is our page that looks similar to the last, with domain boxes at the top and a map in the middle. But this map is actually shaded based on the community's community risk ranking score. Mentioned earlier, in our Child and Family Wellbeing publication, we examine 18 different indicators across 6 domains, these 6 domains, of child and family well-being: economic security, housing, health, education, youth, and family and community, to determine where community level risks concentrate in New York City. And just so you know, you can scroll to the bottom of this page and read a bit more about this publication and read the publication itself and methodology if you're curious. But for the purposes of this presentation, I'll just show this page. Underneath the map, this table populates to show the rank for each community district overall and by each domain, with 1 being the highest risk and 59 being the lowest risk. And you can add different communities using the sidebar on the right. And you can also use the overlay functionality on this tool as well. And, you know, again, this map is a bit bigger, but you can zoom in to get a better understanding of the geographies and clear the selection if you don't want to view these anymore. And last, I will pivot to the Map Community Resources page. This page is unlike the others, and because the map is showing points on the map. Similar to the risk ranking page, it's comprised of a map and a table beneath it, but the table is still shaded with these risk ranking values, and the map is populated with various pins for resources and assets that are found within communities. So right now, these pins actually represent bank locations, but I'm gonna change it to say, you know, medical facilities, and we'll see that the pins will change in line with the color of the category. So now we have purple bundles or groupings of these different pins, if you will. So by zooming on the map, you can expand these different bundles into individual points. And by hovering on these individual points, you can get the names and additional information about the resource. Similarly to the other pages, you can overlay the different boundaries onto the map to better understand the distribution of resources and assets relative to political boundaries and other administrative boundaries. And you can also select community districts by clicking on the map and getting the count of these facilities that you've selected on cards that are found beneath the map. So that is the different tools. I am gonna pause it for there, and you know, we're hopeful, we want to answer any questions that folks might have. So here's our emails. And so we'd like to respond to some of the questions that were submitted prior to the webinar and get any questions that participants might have. And for any folks that have additional questions, our emails are here on the screen, and we shared the deck in advance. So feel free to reach out and we'll respond as soon as we can, or also feel free to respond to our Hotjar survey and leave any feedback as well.
So I think, thank you, Sophia. I think for now, I don't see any questions in a Q&A section or in a chat box, but there was one question submitted in advance. I don't know, Sophia, if you would like to take it. It was about different indicators using different American Community Survey data estimates.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Thanks for reminding me. So there was one question that somebody had asked about getting slightly different estimates within community districts using different tables or different indicators. And I'm glad to talk more specifically with the individual who asked the question about the specifics, but I just want to note, about these tables, so many of our indicators are coming from the American Community Survey. And this is a survey of about 70,000 households in New York City. that really fills in a lot of gaps that we don't have about the population and socioeconomic status and demographics and needs, right? And we use, 1-year estimates of these data. We use 5-year estimates and 3-year estimates, dependent upon the population that we're looking at and how reliable it is. So since this is a survey, they do produce margins of error, and in some situations, the margins of error can be larger. And we just want to, add that any interpretation of the data coming from the American Community Survey should always be interpreted as an estimate, but it also might explain some variation between tables that claim to represent the same thing.
Sophia, there was another question about COVID-19 data, so I wonder if you want to share the screen and show these indicators on the site.
Sure, I'd be glad to. And I do want to note that it's on my agenda to update these today. I typically update them on Tuesdays. How do I get this? I'm sorry, I'm having a technical issue. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry to say, I'm just really can't get my window to share the screen properly for myself. There we go. So now here we are on the Explore data, and under our health, so if I use the filter, I have the coronavirus data here, and we have 3 separate indicators for cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. And many of you may know the mayor actually made the data a bit more expansive in the past few days. So we'll actually be updating all of the data that we can by data by zip. But as of today, right now, COVID-19 cases is the only data point that we have by zip code. And here we have the cumulative count of cases of COVID-19 by zip. And you can see, again, using the gradient, what that looks like. And I'll allow folks to explore on their own. But one thing that I will note about all of these indicators that refer to COVID-19 is that the data that we show represent cumulative counts and not daily counts. So, the COVID cases, this number represents the total in New York City as of May 11th, and, not the new cases on May 11th.
I see one question in a chat box. If we are in touch with the DOE on the data we have on the Keeping Track Online, it's definitely applicable to different, to school food, wellness, safety, and so many. And I will say the different divisions of the CCC, different teams are connected to the DOE in different ways. We did collaborate, and we are in touch with them with their early childhood education division, and we are keeping them fully informed on the progress on the analysis that we are publishing. So that team is definitely in tune with our work. And I also know that oftentimes people from the DOE are attending our webinars. I hope that answered the question. I think it was Karine. Sophia, another question came to mind that was posed in advance about mental health data and mental health facilities.
Yeah, briefly, just, a lot of folks are like us, really wanting rich data on mental health and behavioral health. And an unfortunate reality is that it's, there's not very many rich data sources on mental health and behavioral health, but there are a few surveys, especially, we have some indicators from the YRBS, the Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Survey, which refers to some aspects of mental health, but, it's a contention that we're all dealing with, is kind of wanting more data about the health of New Yorkers.
And I see one more question, and maybe we can use it as the last one. It's 131. Do we have data on New York City NYCHA children and families? So Sophia, I can maybe say a bit, and if you want to navigate to the indicator. But we do show on our asset map, I'll speak about that for a moment. We do have NYCHA facilities, And we came across data on residents of the facilities. So soon it's in our plan to edit the assets. So when you hover over NYCHA facility, you have information how many people are in each development. And we are paying a close attention to housing as our policy priority overall, and keeping an eye on NYCHA information. And
yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, I'm seeing the last question, and now I will call it the last one. If we are working on an indicator that will show new cases, for instance, instead of cumulative cases. I agree that it is it's definitely intensive work, and Sophia is putting a lot of effort to update cumulative cases weekly, but we can definitely give it a thought. It was Trudy.
Yeah, exactly what Maria said. We can definitely give it a thought, depending on what is most useful to folks.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. We will end the webinar now. In a couple of days, we will send a recording. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us to Bijan, Sophia, or myself, or anyone else on the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.